Oh, another move. Jeff Passan just brought this in. So we got bombs all over the place here. I'm going all over the place, but that's because we just got Scott Barlow. Padres just acquired Scott Barlow. Former Padre Luis Arias just got acquired by the Red Sox. Wow. That's a significant addition for the Padres. They are going in on this season for sure. So this, I don't know if, is this a margin? Is this a move on the margins? I don't know, because Scott Barlow, he has control for next year, I believe, as well. Scott Barlow, he was one of the Royals' better relievers. I know that, at least from reports, he wasn't doing that great here at the end. Has a 5.35 ERA, so he's not pitching as great as I think he did last year. Yeah, last year at a 2.18 ERA, 2.42 ERA in 2021. So the Padres are hoping to get something good out of him. Try to get back to where he was in 2022 and 2021. But this improves the bullpen. We wanted to improve the bullpen, so the Padres, they have gotten starting pitching depth. They have improved the bullpen. They have improved the bench depth. They've gotten bats. So AJ Preller has done, I think, a pretty good job here. And it doesn't look like they're giving up top prospects. I haven't seen the return for Scott Barlow yet. Maybe it's a mid-tier prospect, a couple mid-tier prospects. But yeah, this is an interesting move because I was fine with where the bullpen was at, especially the back of the bullpen. I was fine with it. Wilson, Suarez, Hader, those three moves, I was fine with it. Or those three guys, I should say. And then Cosgrove before that, I was fine with that. And then maybe you move Lugo into the bullpen. If Rich Hill ends up being in the rotation as like the 5 starter and Waka come back, he can come back and be healthy. I was fine with it. But now you get Scott Barlow, and I'm even more fine with the bullpen because I would think Ruben Niebla can help get this guy back to what he was. I mean, look at Josh Hader last year. He was really struggling when he came over to the Padres. And they got it fixed, and now he is like one of the best relievers in baseball again, right? So hopefully Ruben and the Padres can help Scott Barlow get back to that sub 2.3 ERA that he had in 2022, or just a sub 3 ERA. And now, if Padres starters can only go 5 innings, you have Wilson for the 6th, you have Barlow for the 7th, you have Suarez for the 8th, you have Hader for the 9th, and you have Cosgrove and Tim Hill and guys like that can come in from the left side if you need them to. And this is a guy, I believe, that has some closing experience. And so if Hader is down, if Suarez is down, Barlow can fill in the 8th, can fill in the 9th. If Barlow is down, then the other guys can come in. So it's more depth in the bullpen. Now, let me see what Scott Barlow's contract looks like here. So he's under control for this year and under control for next year. Final year of our arbitration for 2024. And then 2025, before that season, he will be a free agent. So what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you like the Padres trade deadline? I like it so far. Don't know the return as of yet at this moment that the Padres had to give up for Scott Barlow. But I'm sure Scott Barlow got interest from other teams. I'm sure he did, because relievers are always wanted at the deadline, especially when you're someone that had a sub 3 ERA the last 2 seasons before this season, and you have an additional year of control from next season. So it might be a significant package that the Padres had to give up here. But so far, the guys that they've had to give up, a guy that's not even 18 yet, Esther Suero, Alfonso Rivas didn't have a place. Jackson Wolf probably didn't have a long-term place on the roster. In the last deal that they had in getting Garrett Cooper, giving up Ryan Weathers, he wasn't going to be a starter every day long-term for the Padres in the rotation. It just felt like his time was going to come up at some point. It just wasn't working with the Padres, so maybe a change of scenery will help Ryan Weathers. I'm not torn on giving him up. So that's pretty much what the Padres have given up so far. And in return, they have improved their team on the margins, and they've improved their team not on the – I don't think Scott Barlow, I don't think that's improving the team on the margins. He's not Tatis or Soto or Manny or Bogarts, like playing every day. But this is a guy that can be an impactful reliever for this Padres team. This is a guy, again, that pitched really well before this 2023 season. Actually had the same amount of innings in 2021 and in 2022, almost had the same ERA, 2.42 ERA in 2021, a 2.18 ERA in 2022. A guy that's done it before. He has closing experience. He had 24 saves last year, 13 saves this year. You got to remember there was Aroldis Chapman that was also in that bullpen. And let's look at just to dive a little bit deeper in this move, looking at the game logs here to see if the ERA was just inflated at the beginning of the year. There were some outings where he went 2/3 of an inning, 1 inning where he allowed 3 runs. But most of the time, I mean, there was one blow up against Detroit where he gave up 4 runs. And there's been some outings where he's given up a couple runs. So that probably can't happen down the stretch for the Padres. And until they get him fixed, I'm not going to say that he's like the, closer for this team when Hader isn't available. I think a good spot to have him pitch, maybe to start, is like the 6th inning, 7th inning. Have him and Wilson maybe rotate there, 6th, 7th inning. And then obviously you have Suarez pitching the 8th. You have Hader pitching the 9th. So I'm liking this move. We'll see what the return is here. I'm trying to find out the return. Remember, Josh Hader, this is something to take into account as well. Josh Hader, he's going to probably leave at the end of this season, free agent at the end of the year. So next year, I think Steven Wilson's under contract. Wilson, Suarez, and Barlow, you can have those 3 relievers, and Cosgrove if he continues pitching well. You have those relievers at the back end of your bullpen before you even get to the offseason, and probably make some additions to the bullpen. So A.J. Preller continuing to have a track record of bringing in pretty good relievers, regardless of who leaves. Short-term relievers, for the most part. I know Suarez is like 5 years, but for the most part, short-term relievers, maybe not the biggest name. I know Hader is, but maybe not the biggest name when they come in. And hopefully the Padres can get out of Barlow what the Royals were able to get out of Barlow, if that makes sense, in 2021 and in 2022. Yeah, just waiting on the return for Scott Barlow. But again, I'm satisfied with this trade deadline for A.J. Preller. You don't have to get stuck with the Justin Verlander contract. You get starting pitching depth with Rich Hill, someone who's been there before, for sure. You add to your bullpen. You get a left-handed bat in Ji-Man Choi, who's better than Matt Carpenter. You get a bat in Garrett Cooper, and both of those guys are not like long-term guys where you're stuck with those guys, right? Who maybe don't have the best positional flexibility, versatility, They're the rest of this season, and then they're free agents. But the Padres, they weren't going to sell. So if they weren't going to sell, don't stand pat. That doesn't make the team better. What makes the team better is doing these types of moves. Improving the bullpen, maybe improving the rotation, at least adding a little bit of depth, and improving the depth on the bench or in the DH spot or at first base some days, So I like it. And as of now, we'll see what the Scott Barlow return is. As of now, did not give up any big pieces in any of these deals. I mean, who's the biggest piece? Ryan Weathers, Jackson Wolf so far? I'm fine with that. This is breaking news from Mark Feinsand. The San Diego Padres, they are trading Henry Williams to the Kansas City Royals as part of the return for Scott Barlow. So that's part of the return. We don't know the entire return as of yet. The only return that we know is Henry Williams from the Padres to the Kansas City Royals. So I'm going to do a little bit of research here on Henry Williams. I believe he's a prospect for the Padres. He is with Single A Lake Elsinore. Pitcher, 6'5", 200 pounds. He's 21 years old. He was drafted 2022 draft, 3rd round, 91st overall out of Duke. He has one minor league season. He has a 5.74 ERA so far this year with Single A Lake Elsinore. So the Royals must be looking at this as an upside move. Must like what they've seen scouting him up at Lake Elsinore. So again, I don't know a ton about him. So unless it was like a top prospect, I'm not torn about giving up Henry Williams for Scott Barlow, who was one of the best relievers in baseball last year and in 2021 as well. So Henry Williams going to the Kansas City Royals. And again, with Barlow, it helps the Padres this year. You have Barlow, Wilson, Suarez, Hader, and Cosgrove. And then next year, Hader's probably going to be gone. You have Suarez closing, you have Barlow, you have Wilson, and you have Cosgrove. And then you have some other guys that you're going to probably add as well. So the bullpen, I think it's in pretty good shape for this year and next year. It's just a matter of, can they get consistent leads to be able to roll out that combination from innings 7 through 9 or 6 through 9, right? Can they have a lead where the Padres can get through Barlow, Wilson, Suarez, Hader, right? Can they get through all those guys to get that win? Have Hader get that save, you know? Maybe a major leaguer gets thrown into this deal and gets sent to Kansas City. I don't know. Henry Williams, the Padres' number 10 prospect per MLB Pipeline. So, okay, a top 10 prospect they had to give up in this deal, but it's not top 5. It's not Robbie Snelling. It's not Dylan Lesko. So maybe in a few years, I'm going to regret saying I don't feel bad about giving up Henry Williams. But right now, you know, living in the moment, I like what AJ Preller and the Padres have done here at this deadline. Tom says Padres still won't make the playoffs. Maybe they don't. You know, it's still an uphill climb. I think they're 5 games back still in the wild card, but they're trying. And I think they see that there's some other teams. Sure, there's other teams like the Marlins that are buying, D-backs buying, Cubs, didn't trade Bellinger, didn't trade Stroman, took them off the block days ago. But I think they see that those teams are probably not going to play 650 baseball or 600 baseball. And I think the Padres believe that they can play 600 baseball the rest of the way. And a couple teams will falter. A couple teams will stumble. They won't continue to play good baseball. The Padres can pass them. And then maybe, you know, with couple weeks to go, there'll be only a few games back, couple games back, and who the heck knows what will happen. I think that's what the Padres are doing. They're taking that chance, adding some talent here. They went all in to start the year, and I don't think Peter Seidler and AJ Preller wanted to give up on a team that has Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish, Josh Hader, Robert Suarez, Fernando Tatis Jr., Xander Bogaerts, Juan Soto, Manny Machado, Jake Cronenworth, Ha-Sung Kim. I don't think they wanted to give up on a team that has that talent.